Let's talk about people like Richard Dawkins, James Ramsey, this type of skepticism, which is fake skepticism, and the end of ideology. First of all, these people are not skeptics. A skeptic would be skeptical of everything. Is Richard Dawkins skeptical of everything? No, he's only skeptical against things that he wants to attack. Is Richard Dawkins skeptical about conventional medicine? No. Is he skeptical about our prevailing political system? No. Is he skeptical about our prevailing socioeconomic system? No. Is he skeptical about capitalism in general? Is he asking hard questions about why are we doing things on a finite planet based upon a infinite growth model? No. So Richard Dawkins is not skeptic. Is not a skeptic. It should go without saying that everyone is a skeptic in terms of things that are not part of their ideology. So a Christian will be skeptical of Islamic beliefs, and an Islam will be skeptical of Christian beliefs. If someone is an atheist, but they are only skeptical about ideas which are outside of their worldview, but they are not skeptical about any of the ideas that they hold to be true, then how are they anything more of a skeptic than anyone else? Think about what a scientist is supposed to be. There's two real forms of science. There's what a scientist should be and what many bad scientists, are. Now, a bad scientist is a data collector. They just amass more and more data, but they do so within the box of of a current paradigm. They have their ideology, and they will not step out of it. A real scientist is not interested in the endless and pointless data collection, but is interested in questioning their worldview, finding out what's wrong, and advancing knowledge. Now, and for every true scientist who actually engages in that sort of activity, there are innumerable scientists who are just out there data collecting and just filling up more and more volumes of irrelevant information. you know so but if Richard Dawkins is not actually teaching the type of science which leads one to investigate their own paradigms, then he's not really much of a scientist. In fact, he's a pretty bad scientist. But he gives people this message that in the past there was superstition. In the past, people believed things based upon their opinion. But now we have science, so you don't have to believe anything based upon your opinion. All you have to do is listen to science, and everything is objective. And in giving that message, he's preaching a new religion of scientism. See, science, for those who actually know what it is a methodology of inquiry. It's not an institution that tells you what to believe. And basically Richard Dawkins does preach this idea that science is an institution that tells you what to believe. Oh, by the way, this is what we have found to be true. So all you have to do is believe what's handed down to you by the priests of science, and you're fine. You don't have to question anything. So whether it's physics, whether it's healthcare, whether it's biology, whatever, you don't have to question what the scientist tells you. And they also have this notion that science is somehow based upon how many people believe in something. So if the so-called majority of scientists believe in something, it therefore must be true. They have this belief in, their peer-reviewed journals and so forth. Problem with this whole construct is that while they are right that the scientific method is objective, the actual scientists and are not objective. Scientists are people, and they are likely to just project their limited opinions and paradigms onto reality. The institutions that these scientists project can behave just like any other institution and uphold defunct beliefs in the face of overwhelming evidence. They will likely support people who just, repeat the same old ideology. Scientific institutions, just like any other institution, are open to political corruption or open to financial corruption and so forth. So there is a big difference between the scientific establishment and this scientific method. But Richard Dawkins, James Ramsey, these people, they don't understand that, whatsoever. They don't understand that scientists might be working from a very limited paradigm. Let's take the question of investigating cholesterol lowering medications. So we have all these scientists and all these researchers for years and years writing about how to lower cholesterol and creating all sorts of drugs in order to, lower cholesterol, and all this stuff. But actually, the original work showing that cholesterol causes cardiovascular disease is completely flawed. It's basically just a belief that's not proven whatsoever. In fact, there are tons of people who just get heart attacks all the time who do not even have high cholesterol. And not only that, but even if cholesterol is the problem, the notion that you fix the problem by delivering a poison to the liver, which shuts down multiple pathways, including the production of coenzyme Q10, which is a major anti-inflammatory, which is also needed for cardiovascular function, instead of actually helping someone be healthy. Then the notion that the way you must treat this is through a synthetic drug poison, that's all ideology. So we have within this whole cholesterol fiasco the ideology that cholesterol is bad in and of itself, the philosophy that you must treat things by creating synthetic drug poisons, and then we have the data collectors doing experiments in data collection and more data collection over how you can suppress the function of HDL and LDL, suppress the production of LDL and raise HDL. In the meantime, they have no overarching philosophy of how the body even functions, and there are different fields such as homotoxicology or Chinese medicine, which actually have a philosophy of how the body functions. Within this conventional model of allopathy, there is no philosophy of how the body self-organizes itself. They just say, oh, this is bad, let's come up with a drug to stop it, without even thinking about why would the body want to produce this thing. So this is a philosophy. This whole drug thing is just, and cholesterol is just one fiasco on top of another. But if you do not have the ability to think critically about conventional medicine, about the system of drug trials, about the system of everything must be approved by a medical journal, about the system that if things are being printed in the official medical journals, then it must be scientific and true. If you don't even have, the capacity to question any of this, then you're in an extremely narrow box. And how do you even get out of that box once you're in there? How do you get out of that box once Richard Dawkins has put you in there? Because these people who are scientifically investigating cholesterol believe that they are following the one true scientific way, and they're completely objective, and they're not following any ideology. When, as I just kind of showed, they're following opinionated ideology, one layer on top of another. And it's the lie from these Richard Dawkins type people that if you are one of them, if you declare yourself to be an atheist, and somehow they speak for all atheists, which they certainly do not. I'm an atheist, and Richard Dawkins does not speak for me. But there it is. Once you listen to Richard Dawkins and James Ramsey, and you watch your Skepticom videos, and you buy Skeptic magazine, and you go to the rally in DC where you listen to the other skeptics and atheists talk, once you do all these things, you have escaped ideology, you have escaped believing things just based upon opinion, and you are scientific. And that's the absurdity. That one can tell themselves that they do not believe things based upon opinion, that they tell themselves they are not prejudiced to certain philosophical worldviews, that they are not even following a philosophical worldview, that they're just following objective science. That's the absurdity of what Richard Dawkins teaches, and that's a type of absurdity that I don't even think you can explain to these people. Someone has to go down the path of realizing that they've been duped, like Richard Dawkins, just like they've been duped by a church or some bullshit religion. You know, while we can say that everyone is, for the most part, following their opinions, and some opinions are more well-formed, and while certainly the typical atheist skeptic follower of Richard Dawkins is making more well-informed opinions than some, you know, some religious fanatic for who's following Christianity or Islam or something. Their opinions are more well-informed, but still, nonetheless, they have not escaped the limited world of ideology and opinion. Okay, bye.